Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy Presents our NBA Fantasy Baller DFS edition. What a Sunday night that was of basketball, folks. I don't think anybody saw that coming, to be sure. We will get to that in a second. We've got a game starting at 9 p.m. tonight as the 3-0 Golden State Warriors look to wrap up the Western Conference Finals against the San Antonio Spurs. It looks as if Kawhi Leonard is going to be out this game. So basically the way I'm looking at it is no different than what I said on the video yesterday. I'm going to take my studs from Golden State. So it'll be Durant, it'll be Curry, some Draymond Green, very little to none of Klay Thompson. We could consider JaVale McGee. He had if Zaza Pachulia is out again, JaVale had a solid scoring game. The rebounding wasn't there, so if he can up the rebounds, he's going to make for an excellent play. I don't mind looking at Andre Iguodala as long as everything's good to go with him. That's pretty much where I would leave my exposure on the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Spurs, they're a wreck. I mean, with Kawhi, there's a bunch of people I can say that are in play, but even without him, I'd have to think that the cohesion starts to get a little bit better. They're playing for their playoff lives. As we saw in Cleveland in Game 3, feistiness can go a fairly long way in terms of what you see a team do. So as opposed to just using the cheap guys, unfortunately, the only guy that's really expensive outside of Kawhi Leonard is LaMarcus Aldridge, and I just don't see him being worth the cost, especially with Draymond Green just being a far more consistent player around that same price range. So I'm most likely going to have very, very, very little Aldridge, maybe even none. Yeah, with Love just 200 lower and Green 300 above, that mentality makes him a great tournament play, but you got to have your guys show up in order for him to be a great tournament play. So I'm more prone to going the Pau Gasol as my highest paid player route on this team, like Jonathan Simmons. I think Danny Green could be someone who's a low enough cost that could come through and give you enough points to make it worth your while. Patty Mills has been the invisible man on the San Antonio side of the ball in this series. Had a decent game last time, but still not enough to really get you too excited. And no one else, honestly, really has enough of a consistent role. Manu Ginobili, I could see being a reasonable punt play at his price. That's really what I'm going to limit my exposure to. Jonathan Simmons, probably the highest owned San Antonio Spur, which is not necessarily something I think I've ever said before. Moving on to the Boston-Cleveland game. We're going to Game 4, and it is not 3-0 as I thought it would be. And before I beat up on myself, it's not like everyone else thought that the Isaiah Thomas-less Celtics were going to roll into Cleveland and beat the Cavs. Luck? I mean, I don't know what you really want to say there, but the Cavs completely turned into the Cleveland Browns in the fourth quarter, and when that happens, that's going to be the end of the game. I mean, that's what we saw. We saw Avery Bradley hit that three at the end of the game to win, 111-108. Now they're forcing a Game 5. This is Game 4. The series is still in Cleveland, so I am fully expecting the Cavs to come out and play. On the Boston side of things, probably the guys I'm looking at the most, Marcus Smart had a nice game. He scares me because he's a little more expensive than I really want to go. But if he's going to produce like he did, I mean, that's a solid step in the right direction. After him, I'm going to look at Jay Crowder and maybe Avery Bradley. Al Horford just seems a little bit overpriced for my liking. So I'll most likely stay off him, and it's odd because I've been on him pretty much the whole playoffs, but he has not been coming through. I would start to look towards guys like Jaylen Brown, Kelly Olynyk after that, and that's probably about where I'd wrap it up. I think you could get some cheaper guys there. On the Cleveland side of things, ESPN went hard on LeBron. I know that much, and it's valid. I mean, that stat line is unquestionably the worst stat line that he put up all year. 11, 6, 6, 1, 1, and 6 turnovers. The 6 turnovers is what I typically expect from LeBron. Let's be quite honest there. But, yeah, I mean, you want to say they found the secret sauce, but if your game plan didn't involve trying to figure out how to shut LeBron James down, then there was a problem. Also, you're not going to constantly shut LeBron James down, so it's not as much of a game plan as you think it would be. He's a guy who's going to be bouncing back in this game. There's no reason to divert your attention from LeBron James. That's going to be a very poor overall strategy. Kevin Love playing phenomenal basketball finally, so want to have some shares of him. Kyrie Irving always has the potential to put up a good game. And then Tristan Thompson, and I mean, you could see Kyle Korver, Deron Williams, Channing Frye put up a solid game, but it's going to take a lot of circumstances to go right. I don't really want to play that, so that's where I'll limit my exposure to the Cavs today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this all goes down as we said it does. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Head over to Facebook, like us there, follow us on Twitter at Research and Win, and join us again tomorrow.